All right. Welcome to the channel for the first time viewers. Welcome back from my existing subscribers. Let's go through some of the woes that have been the 7900 XTX for me so far. So obviously, whenever you get a new graphics card, you want to make sure your drivers are up to date. So I started off with DDU and cleaned off all my NVIDIA drivers. The only thing that's left is like this broadcast, like shortcut, but the app is gone, right? So that was like step one, pretty much step zero. Threw the card in, everything seemed fine, booted up just fine. And when I got to recording, I forgot to change the codec. So if you go through your software right here, the Adrenaline software, I use the onboard recording just from apples to apples comparison. We'll get to this here in a second. It's just less of a performance hit, right? So here, again, we have just the settings that I'm using, but I forgot to change this to AVC from AV1. So the very first video in Call of Duty that I uploaded, you can see that it was all messed up, and that's really the reason why, right? I'll try to increase this later as well, just to see if I can get more consistency from it. But again, I had noticed whenever I went through and tried to do anything else, right? Any other kind of videos, this is what I was getting. Just trash, straight trash. So I go to Relive, which I created a folder for. We'll go to Modern Warfare 2. And I had another folder for all my older AMD cards that had no issues. I threw them all in there. So here, HEVC, I think this was okay. So when you right click on it, you can see the properties for a clip. The Tarkov clip that's unlisted and the Insurgency Sandstorm clip that's unlisted, they were at like 40 something FPS, so they weren't really that smooth, right? And I thought it was my editing software, which is Vegas, but that wasn't the case. So when I look right here, details, you can see this was 60 FPS, so that wasn't bad. I was like, okay, cool, maybe this is the fix, right? But that just wasn't it. Let me see. I think this was another one that was 60 FPS. So that was like the rarity, right? This was not the case for all of my recordings. So when I look through here, this is when I was like, okay, this is good. Decent recordings. I'll go through here. You notice that I named this HEVC because AVC was just not working and AV1 was jacked up too. So like AVC up top here, when you look, click properties, 30.68 frames per second. So it's super choppy. Let's open this up and I'll show you what it looks like. So we'll open it up. And this is what it looks like here. So it's all super, super choppy. The FPS in game was fine. It was actually not too bad, but the end product was trash. Like it was bad. Like this is the way it looks all choppy now is literally what it looks like. The gameplay wasn't choppy, but the product was, right? So I couldn't really use these clips because that's kind of how Tarkov and everything turned out. But since then, let's see. I was just testing different things out. Everything I tried, it didn't seem to fix anything. And this still isn't perfect. This one here, let's see, properties. You can see it's 59.46, which I'm fine with, right? So that's fine. Battlefield update just finished. And when you watch this, it's a lot smoother, right? Let's go. Obviously, it's going to be a clip in the gulag. It's where nobody wants to be. But here I tried overclocking the CPU. I tried running the CPU stock. I've tried running the memory stock on the GPU, running the clocks stock. It just nothing worked, right? Not decreasing the power limit, only increasing the power limit, reseating the GPU. Like I literally tried everything, turning on and off resizable bar. This is back to my age-old issue of Radeon drivers, right? So that is what it came down to. But going back, I was able to reinstall the 2022, pretty much the launch drivers, right? So I went here to AMD. You can search up your products. Here's 7900 XTX. If you don't see it there, you can click graphics. Imagine if it was graphics. Right here, 7900. If you have XT, if you have XTX, and then submit. Here, this is where you'll find the newest drivers, right? So the 23.1.1, and from the buddy out there, Ancient Gameplays on YouTube, definitely recommend you check them out. This is how he breaks it down. 23 is the year, 1 is the month, and the last period is, or the last number is the revision. So this is the first driver of the year. Really the third driver for this, and this doesn't work, right? As far as, and this is what I can't stand, because this something like this happened with my Vegas edit, where Let me see if I can find it on my. Actually, I'll look for it later. Anyways, Vegas Edit had an issue with the colors, and because of that, you just couldn't actually like everything was inverted, and it was because of the driver. So Spider-Man came out. I couldn't use the drivers for that because, and if I wanted to edit any videos, I'd have to revert the drivers. Let's talk about one more time how you can find old drivers, and I just don't feel that anybody should have to do this. So here, it only shows you the newest version, right? But if you look in the text here, there's a little previous versions or previous drivers. So I tried the 22.12.2, so the second revision from December last year. It didn't work, still had the issue. I went back to this one here, and that's where you're seeing the 59.64 or whatever. At least it's smooth, right? That's the whole thing. Is I use my onboard graphics card or the onboard graphics software to record the gameplay. The other thing is that I could technically go to the newer one and use OBS, but I was having insane FPS drops. Let me see if I can find one real quick. So if I go here, I got a ton of drives, by the way. Here, OBS. We'll say the 30th, I think, is what it was. Nope, I think we deleted that. So here we're at like 100% usage, which I think was the issue. Is that even though I had so much headroom left to go, I'm still showing up as 100% GPU utilization. I don't know what that's about. So here you can see using OBS, I was down in the 180s, and the lows would get really, really low. This was an insane drop, by the way. There was like 4 teams there. But here, 170, 160, 157, 155. This is all because of OBS. When I do the benchmark, let me show you the benchmarks. And this is just stuff that I was dealing with on day one, bro. Crazy. Modern Warfare. We'll look at the screenshots. Let's find them here. So here is literally with nothing going on. So no recording software, CPU overclocked, everything good to go. And right here, I'm getting 372 FPS for the actual in-game benchmark. This is another glitch that was happening here on the newer software. And this is what leads me to believe that it's just the encoder is just trash on the card. I could be wrong. I could be looking at it from a real primitive angle and just not really fully understanding. And I don't think that is something I'm doing, though. It's definitely at the bare minimum, it's driver related, right? So that was a crazy glitch. I can't find the picture. Maybe this is it. Here it is. So we just saw 370, right? And this is what it looks like with OBS running. So the GPU bottleneck is 97%, whereas if we go here, it's 37%. So I was being bottlenecked by my CPU. Craziest thing. But yeah, back to topic, right? I re-downloaded this here, and it essentially fixed that issue for me where I was unable to record my gameplay with any kind of decent quality unless using OBS, and losing like half my performance. It wasn't half, but it was crazy. So the lows were really bad. It was, like I said, in the 150s, which, I mean, I have clips from my 4080, and all my 4080 clips are pretty much outperforming the 6900 XTX or 7900 XTX, which is unfortunate because I was expecting to get closer to 4090 like performance. And this is kind of a look behind the scenes of the YouTube channel too. That's pretty cool. Just usually do these little quick ones. We'll pull this one here. I think this is a win that we got. So here, 50C, 70% usage, just under 3 gigahertz, 200 watts. And I was actually at a static 5.275 gigahertz. So I didn't even have to really push the CPU with a really high PVO or anything like that. And it just works, right? And this is just the Windows Media Player or the Windows Movies being a little weird. So I'm up in the 220 range. It is the end of the game. There's not a lot of rendering going on because we're pretty much in the final circle. But overall, the experience is pretty good. And you can see that the FPS average here has been 196, right? So throughout the entire game, while this was on, the average has been 196. And this is just some of the stuff that you don't have to worry about with NVIDIA. Now, I will say that their graphics drivers have been trashed recently, but usually that's the case. And it sucks that this has been my welcome back to AMD, right? Is that I had to go back to a 2-month-old driver, because we're literally, tomorrow's February. So I had to go back to a 2-month-old driver to get my card to work right? So that's where I'll end the video. The card itself, the Merc, is very nice. The temperatures are good. Let me see if I can find any clips, even with the jacked up encoder and everything. The clips were still the card, the physical card, has been fine, right? Let's go to one that works still. So here we can see that our average on this particular map so far has been 203, so a little higher, but 63C for the actual CPU, because I had to do that crazy overclock to try to take some of that headroom away, and 57C. So for an AMD card, being that they're not overdeveloped like the RTX 4080, which is pretty much using 4090 coolers, which is pretty much using beefed up 3090 Ti coolers, which was overkill because the 3090 Ti looked like a full ass sandwich. But this is still pretty good for being a decent size card, right? It's a long card, but my 4090 is I would say even about the same size, if not a little bit longer, and definitely the fins are thicker. So with that, I'll catch you on the flip. Be easy, and that's it for now. Hopefully y'all, if y'all have experienced anything like this where the drivers or the recording is just not working, let me know. But yeah, we'll chat about it in the comment section. A couple of y'all have asked me like, yo, I'm super excited about, seeing what you get for results on the AMD card. And I was just like, I was being a Debbie Downer. I was like, hey, it's probably not going to happen because, it's probably going to get sent back to Amazon. But being that we pinned it down and I found something that actually kind of works, I might still look into getting another unit just to see. But, I might hold on to it. So, all right, catch you on the flip.